Hello, I'm Lowell Martin, and this is MCC Today. You're going to learn a lot. On today's show, we have Contrell, Terrell, Christy Cole, and Joseph Knight. It's going to be very interesting. Don't touch that dial.
We're turning the tables, rewriting the rules, letting the world know that success is not reserved for the privileged few. Every dreamer, every believer, every fighter has a chance to rise above. Together, we will find your path and change your future. No matter who you are, no matter where you come from, at Meridian Community College, you are worth it. Now is your time. Find your wings.
And we are here this morning with Mr. Contrell Terrell. How are you doing?
Doing good. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well. It's just a great day.
Yes, sir.
Hot, but it's a great day. Now, your official title is what?
I'm an academic advisor at Meridian Community College.
Okay, and we were just talking before the cameras went on that we're at almost a year.
Almost a year.
Okay, how's everything going?
Everything is going well so far.
Was it what you thought it would be?
No job.
No job ever is.
No, but it's definitely a learning curve that I've enjoyed embracing at this time.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I seem to recall that some previous experience, you were working with special needs.
Yes, so that's primarily been my background for over a decade now, working as a special education teacher, working in that sector. So that's pretty much what I've thrived upon in the past, yes.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you were able to bring many of the qualities because that you're helping the students and being there for the students and all that. You're able to bring that into what you're doing now as an advisor.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So when a student comes in, okay, and they come to see you, what do you do? What is your process?
So my process, I primarily serve students who are seeking admission into our pre-ADN program. So
Okay.
I work with students to make sure that they meet the requirements regarding their ACT, their GPA, and all relevant coursework.
Okay.
So that is pretty much what I do day in and day out.
And a lot of times when students come in and they decide that they want to go into the ADN or go into one of our programs, they don't realize that, there are prereqs that you have to get
Yes.
through first. You don't ever, I don't know if there are only a couple of programs that you just go into immediately.
Correct.
So when you sit them down and you start talking to them, you're like, okay, this is what you got to do.
Right.
This is, what is their usual reaction to that?
Some are aware of the requirements, having searched online, and then there are some that can be overwhelmed because they think that it's a varied route as opposed to being able to just jump into nursing. And so we do have some requirements on the front end that students must meet, and it's little to no wiggle room with those requirements. Right. So it's that they must have. So.
And a lot of times, it's usually at least a year's worth of prereqs.
Correct.
If they have not had any college credit or any classes beforehand or taken any of that.
That's correct. We do have some students who are dual enrolled, and so that is definitely a benefit for students who are very adamant about being a part of our nursing program here. So that is something that I would highly encourage, but it does take around a year's time for students to meet the requirements as far as the coursework. Now, students sometimes who have the ACT score and the GPA, having taken dual enrolled courses, they can apply for the program in the spring of that year. Granted, they join us in the fall. So. But again, the program is very competitive, and
yes,
so we would definitely prefer students to have all relevant coursework completed prior to applying to the program.
And having that coursework done and getting good grades in
Yes.
that coursework. It's not just that
Right.
you take it. It's that, hey, you need to have some good grades in there.
Correct. So while we require a C in all relevant courseworks, we know that a C might get a degree, but it might not make you as competitive for seeking admission into the nursing program. So of course, B's are better, A's are great. So, so we definitely encourage students to work very diligently to meet that requirement. So that's pretty much what I do.
Is it, if a student has taken a class and maybe they made a C in it, if they retake the class, does the new grade replace the C?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So what we try to do is put students on a clear path as far as encouraging them to do their best once they're enrolled in these courses, because we don't want them to get into a dilemma of just retaking courses over and over and exhausting financial aid. Mind you that the ADN program is quite expensive. So one thing I do work with our students on to make sure that they are aware that, you know, again, we want them to do their very best in those courses and not have to repeat as many courses. And so, like I said, again, on the competitive side, though, we do have some students who wish to take courses again to get a higher grade.
Sure.
Yes.
I tell students this all the time working in the Success Center, and you know, they'll come and they'll say, "Oh, we got in the program," and you know, I don't hold my punches at all, and I tell them, "Okay, now the hard part begins."
Exactly.
Get ready, because you know it is a difficult program, but it is well worth it.
Exactly.
And I'm like, okay, for the next couple of years, don't think you're going to have any extra time or anything like that. Do you try to like tell students what's going to I mean, like what they need to do to kind of be successful once they get in?
Correct. So that's pretty much how I partner with Ms. Christy Cole, the actual ADN advisor. So students are they are again placed on a pretty strict path as far as maintaining good grades, making sure they're meeting the coursework. Now students, again, they can apply to the program each fall and spring, and so sometimes students who are not admitted on the first time around, they will again take courses that are geared towards completing their associate's degree, because the student can apply for the program still and work towards getting their associate's degree. So that is kind of a twofold benefit of being a student here as well as seeking admission into our program.
And not meaning to put you on the spot here, because you might not know this, but about how many new students do we accept into the ADN program in the fall? Do you have around?
I would say around 80 to 90 students.
Okay. But usually there are hundreds who apply.
Oh, there are.
So there are hundreds who are applying for this 80 slots or 90
Correct.
slots. Okay.
There are a number of applicants each fall and spring, and so but again, the number of students who are selected each fall and or spring, it does depends on the current needs of the faculty and all that kind of good stuff. So but it is very competitive.
Okay. Well, and I will say this too, it does not matter who you know or what
No.
your last name is or anything like that. It is a complete blind.
It is a blind selection process. So we do use a competitive point system to rank our students. So students are ranked according to the location, their GPA, their ACT score, and again, their performance in the prereqs. So that is one of the biggest things that I advise students on, is that they get the biggest bang for their buck with how they perform in their in the prereqs. So, I mean, they can have a 36 ACT score, they can have a 4.0 GPA, but again, how they perform in those coursework, as well as on the HESI exam, that will help them be more competitive in the selection process. So, yes.
Well, listen, I want to thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for
I'd
having
love to have
me.
you on again. Okay?
Likewise.
Okay. We'll be right back.
MCC costs less and gives you more. Are you ready to jumpstart your career but don't have the time for a traditional 4-year degree? Meridian Community College can have you workforce ready in as little as 1 semester. We have workforce programs ranging from 1 semester to 2 years, with experienced instructors and hands-on training that will help you gain the skills you need to succeed and start earning a paycheck sooner. Find your wings at Meridian Community College.
And we have the wonderful Miss Christy Cole here. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I am doing very well. Now, your official title is?
Academic advisor.
You're an academic advisor, okay, and do you help one specific area more than others?
I do. So I particularly specialize with the ADN program and
Okay.
work with our RN students.
Okay. which is a big program.
It's a
here.
very big program. I think it might be the biggest program other than university transfer.
Yeah. Now, how long have you been at MCC?
I believe it's been just at 2 years.
Wow.
So I'm
Okay.
still new.
Was it what you thought it would be? Has it been what you thought it would be?
It's actually been a lot better. I thought it would be really good coming into it, but the people that we are surrounded with are just wonderful, and the students are just precious, and I just love working with them.
I talk about this all the time, but we really are a family here. And
It
it
is.
really is we're a small community college, but we really help each other and look out for each other, and it really is a unique environment.
It is.
And I say that as someone who's been here 14 million years. And it's always been like that. It has always been just very comfortable, you know, and you get in, you do your job, but there are a lot of people, you know, around to help you when you need help. And for me to point out when you've made a mistake, because I had a lot of those too. But now with the RN program, with the RN students, what do you basically advise them when they come in to see you?
So mainly when they come in to see me, I make sure that they're taking the right classes, that they have completed any of their prerequisites that they had not completed previously to starting the program. They have to complete those prereqs within a certain time frame of being in the program.
Okay.
And so I have to make sure that they are aware of that and that they do get those courses completed in a timely manner.
And I would imagine also, because there are sometimes where I know that RN students will take additional classes while they're in the program, but sometimes if you don't have to do that, might be a little bit better.
It's really interesting. There's about a 50-50 split of what
Okay.
our students are currently doing. About 50% are sticking to the required 12 credit hours, and that usually requires their nursing classes, which adds up to 10 credit hours, and then they'll need one additional elective, and we do offer several nursing electives. Now, the electives are subjects and topics that are covered within the program, but if you wanted to dive a little bit deeper into certain areas like neonatal care or legal and ethical issues in healthcare, which I always think is interesting, or clinical judgment, then we do have nursing electives that they can choose from to make that 12 credit hours. But then on the other hand, there's the other 50% who are looking to, at some point, transfer to a university to get their bachelor's in nursing and get their BSN degree.
Okay.
And so what I usually recommend for those students is that we start looking at the prerequisites that the university is going to require for them to make that transfer, and start taking those, and they're usually general education classes, and to have them go ahead and start taking those general ed classes as their electives while
Okay.
they're in the nursing program. So that just gives them a head start.
I have a number of the nursing students who take my college study skills class. They seem to enjoy that a lot.
Yes, they do. In fact, I think it really helps them because,
I hope so.
well, the program is so rigorous. And, you know, one of the things, I'm really glad we actually have that class, because I always talk, you know, we're never taught how to study.
No.
So, and it's a skill to be able to do that and to be able to, you know, bring out the main points that you need to learn for a specific subject. And so I find that class has been very helpful for a lot of our students.
I actually, there were a couple of students in the Success Center yesterday, and they were talking about studying, and you know, they're getting ready for a test coming up. And, you know, so I came out and I was talking, I said, you know, I teach this class, but no, just what do you do? How do you do this? And I made a couple of suggestions to them, and they were like, you know, I think I might try that.
Right.
Do you ever have students, let me say it this way. Do you ever let students know, hey, this is a difficult program?
Yes, all the time.
You know, I do that when they come up to the Success Center and they say, okay, I just got into the nursing program. I'm like, okay, now the real work begins.
Yes, exactly.
You know, this is, you know, this stuff that you were doing before, and yes, getting those prerequisites down and all that was very important.
Right.
However, now the real, you know, this is the real stuff.
Right.
And do you ever have to, you know, have a conversation with them and go, okay, now look, get ready?
Absolutely. They have to maintain a C average. Now, in a typical course, that would be a 70 or above, But for the ADN program, a C is an 80. So it's really maintaining a B average.
And you don't want to spend 2 years just on the edge of
No.
the 80.
No.
I mean, that's stress in a whole other level of stress.
Yes.
So you'd like to have a little wiggle room there.
Absolutely.
If at all possible.
Absolutely. You don't want to come down to your final exams and have your grade depend on that one last exam. You want to be prepared and stay prepared throughout the program. So I do have those difficult conversations, and they are difficult. Students come in, they're stressed, they're concerned about their grade in the course. And so what I've done is actually ask other successful students, what have they done to make themselves successful? Because to me, I think it's better for students to hear from other students that have actually gone through the program and are dealing with the same things they're dealing with. And so what they've told me is the main helpful tip that they could give an incoming or a new student or a student that's struggling is to review and study every single day. It does take a lot of time commitment outside of the classroom. It's not one of those classes or programs where you think you can just go to class and then wait until the next exam. You can't do that because everything builds on each other, and so you have to stay up to date and current from when you first started your first day of the program up until where you are now. So you have to continuously review and maintain that knowledge base going into your exams and moving forward.
You have to review, you have to maintain that knowledge base, you have to maintain that commitment level.
Correct.
And I've had students that will come in and they're taking some of the prereqs and they're like, I plan to go into the nursing program. And I will tell them immediately, not with those grades.
Right.
Not with your level of studying now. You are not going to be able to, even if you get into the program, you're not going to do well. And I hate to be like that, but I want them to know, look, if this is what you want, if this is your goal, you better step up to the plate.
Right, and I think they deserve to know that.
Yes.
It's very competitive, and it's really hard to advise students on what they can do to be more competitive, because it all depends on who you're competing against, who you never know is what they're going to be. And so you don't know if you're going to need a higher ACT score, if you're going to need higher grades, or you just don't know how the other applicants are going to compare to you. So the best advice I can give anybody is just do your best on everything.
Yes.
Don't just meet the minimum requirements. That might work sometimes, but it's not going to work all the time.
Well, has anything surprised you about being an advisor for RN, the RN program? Has anything surprised? Just anything that's just you didn't, because a lot of times I find myself constantly surprised by stuff, which I think is great.
Yes.
Because I wasn't expecting that.
Yes.
But has anything surprised you about being an advisor for the RN program?
I think probably one of the biggest surprises is just how rigorous the program is, and the commitment level that these students really do put into it. Because once they're in, they see what it's going to take to be successful. They just sometimes might need that little encouragement to keep that level up, but they are pretty much very committed to the program, and they're excited to be there, and that's what makes me excited.
Good. Listen, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be right back.
Thank you to the teachers for encouraging me when I wasn't sure where to start, for seeing my potential even when I didn't, for inspiring me to reach farther and try harder.
Thank you, MCC. You helped me change my future.
Find your wings at MCC.
And we are here with the wonderful Mr. Joseph Knight. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Now, your official title here is?
Flunky. Vice President of
Capital
Work.
F or PH?
Whichever way you want to say it. Vice President of Workforce Solutions.
Okay, now, Workforce Solutions, that's a big umbrella.
Yes, sir, it is. Actually, it entails all of our workforce education courses, plus our health education division, nursing division. Then there's other non-credit areas, adult education, workforce development, non-credit, and grants, and a career center.
Now, how long have you been doing this?
5 years with all of the workforce education I'm starting my 5th year, 4 complete years. The workforce education and grants I've been doing since 2005. Just 8 years of that was at another institution. So, yeah.
But you've been here for...
I've been here 10 years.
10 years, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
time flies when you're fun.
It is.
Yeah.
It is flying. Now, I mean, I have a lot of the career and tech instructors on the show.
Right.
Our career tech, our workforce is going gangbusters.
Absolutely. We're blessed here at MCC to have some wonderful faculty and have some wonderful programs. Out of all of that, there's 34 different pathways or programs for a student to choose from. So there's an industrial division if you're looking for like heavy machinery type work, whether it's inside or outside, anything from a utility lineman out in the weather. We love them when our power goes out, right?
Definitely.
Or working inside in an industrial maintenance or precision machining or welding. Welding can be inside or out. We have construction trades, inside or mostly outside, and
Right.
electricity. So in that area, but then, you know, you run into the business area and we got multiple ways there. You can office management or marketing management. And then there's little offshoots that a person could concentrate for 15 hours of accounting or something of that nature. So when you add all that together, EMS, we have 3 areas there. Nursing, we have 3 different activities in nursing, ADN, PN, our practical nursing, and CNA or HCA, healthcare assistant. And then we have 9 different programs of health ed. So when you add all that up, there's 34 programs, but over 50-something pathways.
And many of these you can get out, and like I think the healthcare assistant, it's a 6-month program, isn't it? Or 1 semester.
It's a 1 semester.
1 semester
Yes.
program, and then you've got truck driving, which is like 8 weeks.
That's right. It's a 16-week or an 8-week opportunity.
Okay.
And then you have the utility lineman, which is also 16
Now
weeks.
that just went to credit.
It's moving to credit this fall.
Okay.
Matter of fact, we are putting the very first credit class in there, which the certificate is the same whether it was credit or non-credit, but it was more beneficial for us to move it to credit, which will allow those students in the future to get financial aid in that process.
This is how when I came here 40 million years ago, you know, it was like you hear go to college, and it's almost like you get education to get more education.
Right.
And I don't mean that in a bad way, but I mean you go here for 2 years, then you go off for 2
Right.
more years, and you get your bachelor's or and then your master's or whatever. But there is so much more to the community college than I had ever anticipated. And doing this show, I find out. Unfortunately, you know, because y'all are in the Career Technical Center,
Right.
that we don't see as much of what's going on there. But oh my goodness,
Yes, absolutely. Those students basically are tied to that program. Those that have the Associate of Arts, Applied Science incorporated into their program. So there's different pathways. There's the AAS degree that I just mentioned. Then there's a certificate degree, a technical certificate. And then there's just a certificate that's like an employment type certificate. And basically the difference in those is the number of hours. If it's a 30-hour, it's just a certificate, or less. Or if it's a technical certificate, they have to have 30 plus another 15, 45 hours. And then the AAS, you would add on those academic, typically 5 courses, core courses, that gives you the AAS, which now is transferable to many colleges in the state of Mississippi. We're terminal in our nature as far as our accreditation, but many of the universities have begun to pick up that AAS degree and offer a Bachelor's of Applied Science.
where do you see the career in tech or workforce development kind of going? I mean, like
I see an expansion.
Okay.
What we have in Mississippi, which mirrors America, is you have a number of people who are retiring. And to be honest, COVID made that retirement accelerate in just astronomical amounts. Truck driving is one of those fields that individuals, they said, you know, I'm 65 or I'm 62 or I'm 70, it's time for me to go to the house because this gives me a new realization of life and how life can change very quickly.
Right.
On top of that, we're in the middle I don't think we're on the backside yet of the curve of the retirement of the baby boomers.
Yes.
So what that is doing is that's creating a huge skill gap in Mississippi and in America. And you hear a lot of the buzz of workforce development across the nation because there's a huge gap. You can't, companies can't find skilled workers. 65%, according to a study at Georgetown University, says that 65% of students leaving high school must gain some type of certification after high school, something post-high school. So, in other words, the technology that's in the jobs out there today requires some type of sophistication and learning prior to just walking out of high school. So that's the reason I say I see an increase. We're looking at different opportunities here at the college. You're always moving,
Sure.
and evaluating. So we've had to actually, unfortunately, remove some programs due to lack of enrollment and lack of need in our area and demand. But there are other areas that have a demand. For example, one of those programs in the industrial area is automotive, but it is strictly for dual credit at one of our local high schools, or for all the schools in Lauderdale County. But the reality is we need to expand that so that we can attract other people and provide a 2-year opportunity there. Diesel mechanic, tremendous need for diesel mechanics in our area.
Well, I think I hear that y'all, you and some other people here at the college recently went to Germany.
Absolutely.
How do we compare, do you think, to other countries?
From our fact-finding mission, that's basically what it was. We got to tour. They are on a dual system, they call it, which is an apprenticeship model. So a student leaves their high school, can leave at the 10th grade and enter into an apprenticeship model. They're actually working for a company and training at the same time. Okay. Or they can go to their 12th grade year and enter at that point too. So it's kind of a dual process. The training facilities that we went to, we teach the exact same thing. Really? Our facilities match those. Matter of fact, we were kind of like, hey, we do everything they're doing right now, and it made us really feel proud of our programs here, especially in precision machining and manufacturing and advanced manufacturing and engineering. Also in our industrial maintenance area. We do exactly the same things they do. We offer the same course, the curriculum, the objectives, everything. So we do it. I think we compare great to what they do.
Well, listen, I want to thank you for being on the show today. This is what's called when you see me on the sidewalk and I say, hey, you need to be on the show. But thank you. I do want to have you on again, and let's talk about some of the developments that you think might be coming.
Be glad to.
We'll be right back.
Not essential. Never let anyone tell you that again. Never doubt your abilities to make a difference. How do I know this about you? Because I'm a teacher. I am the one who will push you harder and farther than you could have ever imagined. Teach you things that you never thought possible. And if you will give me 100%, then I will stand shoulder to shoulder with you, and together we will change your future. MCC, find your wings.